Welcome to Toast Talks, a podcast where we speak with remarkable business leaders about the choices, challenges, and breakthroughs that shape their success. I'm Michael Rutherford. My guest today is a local streetwear entrepreneur with global ambitions. He started with a small online community with his friends back in 2018 and has since transformed it into an international brand and a beloved retail destination. After years of deliberate, meticulous planning, the brand has continued to accelerate. Its piece is now worn by well-known actors, comedians, and athletes. Most recently, he opened a striking new flagship store in the heart of the city he calls home. And he's achieved all of this while balancing social, academic, and sporting commitments along the way. Today's guest is Conor McKinney, co-founder of Storefront NI. Hey folks, we're joined by Conor McKinney today from Storefront. So, how are you feeling about your podcast debut?
Well, we'll see anyway how we get on. Anyway, we'll fake it till we make it.
So, just a bit about Storefront for anybody who doesn't know. Do you want to maybe tell us a bit about the brand? I think, most people regionally would probably know Irish brand clothing. Kind of expanding the horizons now. But do you want to just give us a wee kind of flavour of what you're up to recently?
Of course. So basically we are sort of an Irish lifestyle brand, I would say, from the town. So began in 2018 as like a Facebook forum. It's then turned into like a pop-up shop for a year. Then we had another premises there for 5 years, and now we just moved on to our new place. So it's kind of, we do seasonal drops throughout the year and try to make sure that we have something for everybody in there. It started with kind of t-shirts and hoodies, and now it's full scale collections with jackets and sort of tailoring and jeans, everything that basically head to toe that you could want. I'd like to think that we have something for everybody now.
Serious journey from where you started in 2018.
Definitely.
So it's yourself and two others. So
there's a few of us in there, yeah. So by myself and two others, and then we've got some staff working on the shop with us as well now too, just to sort of help with the day to day and everything as well. So it's been definitely good to kind of be able to delegate a bit more tasks in there.
Get a bit of time.
Exactly.
And just in respect to early life, so grew up in the city, native of here, and how were you in terms of school and things like that? And was it always something you wanted to do? Was set up your own business, or?
These are the hard questions now. But no. So I've lived in Derry, I would say, my whole life. There was a few years we lived out with my father's family out in Virginia. So small hiatus out in the country, out in the sticks. Yeah. So basically, it's one of them ones I never really looked at anything too long term from a younger age about what I wanted to do or where I wanted to be, because back at that age you're so impressionable. I think if I watched a certain TV show for 6 months, I'd want to go and do this and do that and do what they're doing and that. Yeah. But one running theme that I always found in myself was I was always into clothes, even from like a younger age. So even though family holidays to America, I would be obviously going over there seeing my family, having fun over there, but I'd love to go and get something that I know I couldn't get back home. And that was before obviously the era of buying clothes online anyway, so it was kind of just, it was one of them things I was always into, maybe even subconsciously. It wasn't until maybe a couple of years after I was like, oh, this is something that I like to follow up on. So I went to school here, and then I was working part-time when I was in secondary school in Topman. So I would say that kind of gave me a start to everything. Definitely in the retail, definitely in the how lovely customers can be at Christmas time and all that fun stuff. But it was good. It gave me like a good sense of working on a team. Been able to kind of work on my own initiative as well too, and then I kind of worked myself throughout the years to be able to be involved more in like the styling aspect of things, and then working on like the mannequins, all that kind of stuff. Definitely informed my decision making on what we ended up doing then. So one of the co-founders of the brand, George, he worked with me as well as a Christmas temp in Topman, and we were friends outside of there anyway, but then it kind of just sort of went from there. Then we found ourselves, me and the group of boys that I'm friends with, we were always like sending each other, oh, have you seen this, it's coming out soon and all this, which sounds great, but then I think when you're maybe working 10 hours a week back in them days, we were doing a lot of window shopping. So it's kind of just more so being on it for being on it.
And then, so in 2018, what age are you there?
Oh God, these are great questions. Yeah, it looks like I can't even do math here, but I'm 27 now, so that would have been what? That would have been 7 years ago now.
So
would
about
have been
19.
20. Well, I would have been around that anyway. But I remember it was mid sort of my undergrad degree. What I was doing at the time was whenever we kind of started things off then. So,
and if I take you back, so 2018, so obviously you and a couple of guys start. Could you have imagined at that stage, or was it just kind of like, look, let's have a go, see what happens? We're all really interested in this, and we want to have a go. Mm-hmm. Would you have had the vision to see to what it is now, or was it just like, listen, let's have a crack and see where we go?
See, to be honest, like whenever like I'd be asked a question like that, I would love to say I'm sitting here steadfast and I always knew it was going to go this way, and you always hear people saying this, I always knew it, and they need that level of self-belief. With us, I think because when we started off, we didn't really know what it was we were doing as such, because we sort of changed from selling other brands to then selling our own brand, that we never could have foreseen things being how they are now. So I can't say for certainty, but I knew that we definitely had something there.
Yeah.
And I feel like our decision making was kind of reinforced from the fact that we already had like a small Facebook following, so it wasn't like just completely starting from the ground up. So that was definitely important. With me, I was doing my undergrad in law and marketing, so two things of which I have no ambition to do anything with again. So I think I was just jumping at the chance to do something that didn't involve all this.
Yeah.
So then I was coming into my placement year, and I had some options to go away and study abroad and do all this, and that's what I always thought I would have done prior to starting my degree. But then whenever it was, Ronan Stewart locally, he runs Atelier in Everton, and he was doing like a pop-up down in the Glassworks building for a year, and he kind of was nice enough to let us facilitate having a space in there, see what came of it. And I just thought, you know what, I can always go and do what I can do with my degree when it's done, but I might not get an opportunity like this again. So kind of just told the uni I'm on a leave of absence for 12 months, and then went and done that, and that kind of just turned on to one thing and the next thing.
But see the way you're saying about there was the Facebook group initially. Was there a point where you kind of looked between obviously yourselves and the others in the business where you kind of went, do you know what, we'll take this on? And was that difficult? Because it can sometimes be difficult to put yourself out there and kind of go, no, do you know what, there's something here, we can genuinely kind of go and have an effort. But was it a difficult decision, or how did that work?
Oh, definitely was. Like, I would say that I'm so glad it wasn't me doing all this myself, or else I don't know if I would have had things play out the way that it did. I've enjoyed every single element of what we've done up until now, and I'm so excited for what we have coming after this as well, with the plans for the brand. But I would definitely say that I kind of get a sense of security from doing it as a collective, wherein like if one of us was having second doubts or thinking this and thinking that, the other person would go, no, but sure, what about this, and kind of just sort of having the yin and yang of the glass being constantly full, I think, of everybody just sort of keeping you going. But I think one element of it was, I know that growing up in the town there was nothing like what we do now available to us, so it's not like there was kind of like a script to follow or to go off. Derry, even still much so now, it's changed a good bit now, which is great, but it used to only be like the high street. There was no real emphasis on independent brands, and now you've got Hans got an amazing shop down in the Gale premises that they have, and the Craft Village, and Max got his own shop as well, and it's great to see that there is these actual outlets for people now. And I think that if we had seen that back then, we would have been even more secure in what we're doing and going, right, this is good because we can see that they're doing it and they're doing it. But the only real sort of preamble to what we do was, I remember there was a clothing shop called 11 that used to be open for maybe, in my head I think this place was open 10 years. It might have only been open for 6 months, but because it was that impressionable time when we were in school, everybody started going out at the weekend, and you would go up to this place and it would have like these 101 sort of vintage Adidas tops and all this sort of stuff, and you had to be there as soon as you finished school on a Friday. And I just remember that feeling of what it was like for me as a customer, and we always wanted to think that in return we're delivering the same experience now for people coming up to us as well.
What do you think, just on something you said there, because there are quite a lot of brands, let's say, that, you know, dairy historically maybe has had its issues, but there are quite a lot of like really kind of up and coming thriving brands, and you know, you mentioned a few like Han and yourselves and Amac, but so if they, you know, what do you think that is about here? Why is it that these have started coming?
Well, it's one of them ones. I know well before we'd even started doing what we're doing, Han has been doing what she's been doing for a long time, and she's just been sort of going from strength to strength with things. I actually remember when I worked in Topshop, they started actually stock Han just before I was going, so it was great for me to see someone local making such an impressionable impact that, you know, they were able to be stocked in such like a globally sort of recognised shop, which was class for her and amazing. I think that the big thing is just with dairy, I think it's this kind of catch-22 where people have to see stuff to believe it before they'll fully put their support behind it. I know that during COVID, a lot of people were starting things, and then maybe for one reason or another, it didn't get into the second stage, and maybe it just, that was the way it was. I think now that there's a sort of mentality in the town where if someone does something and they know what they're doing and they're confident in what they're doing, people see that and accept that, and they want to stand by that and support them, no matter what the venture is. In regards to clothing, then, you know, it's one of them kind of transferable things where it's so subjective, like what you might think's nice versus what someone else thinks nice, different story. Like for instance, I could spend 10 hours on a design that I think's amazing, and I think if one of my parents seen it, they go, "Do you have nothing else to wear, son?" No, you know, it's one of them sort of things. So it's kind of just beauty in the eye of the beholder. But I believe that in the town for sure, it's such a town so sort of rich in its history. And I feel like, you know, obviously dairy has been known as one thing for so many years. I feel like now it's entering like a new stage of, it's been known for its creative outlets and sort of people, the opportunities that's coming from it. Like even people like Adam B being such a big YouTuber on a global stage, but just being a young person from the town that went to the same secondary school as me. Them kind of opportunities for people now, it's just bringing like a wider lens onto the place. And I think it's just kind of the whole mentality of, no, rising tide lifting all ships for sure.
And do you feel like a sense of pride in the sense that you maybe are a role model to the next generation in terms of what is possible? And, you know, listen, you know, there are positive things, there are good things that you can do.
100%. You know, try not to look at myself too much from an outside lens or whatever, because I still don't feel like I have all the answers to anything. But I just know that in what we do, I feel very, very confident in that, and I can stand by over what we do because we put so much time on it and so much emphasis, just because we genuinely love it, and we just want to be able to do as much as we can and to showcase the town and where we're from. You know, we try to mention the inscription of dairy and most of the garments that we produce, and a lot of the international orders we have, and a lot of the Instagram posts that we put up. You know, it's not trying to veer away from that at any time, because that's who we are and that's how we are who we are, because the support that we got locally. I do definitely feel though that, you know, being able to mention sort of different historical elements of the town as well too, but in like a nice way, it's great. And especially for tourism as well, the amount of Americans that come over, and you know, they all come to do the dairy gears walking history tour, but then they're coming in then and they've got a t-shirt that they can remind themselves of the town that they came and visited, bring it back to them. And it's nice because it's just I just imagine how it is whenever I'm a tourist somewhere else, and if I've had a nice experience in a place, it's always nice to get something to commemorate it as well. But one thing with us for sure that I'm always so sort of steadfast on is I never want people to just support us because we're local, because I know people in this town are so great at that. Like, you know, no matter what it is, if there's a new coffee shop, it's queued out the door for the first week because everybody wants to try it. If there's a new restaurant, everyone's booking it the first week and putting up a story. With us, I want people to support it because the quality's good and it can go toe-to-toe with some of their favourite brands. The fact that we have sort of got like the happy medium of people supporting us because we are local, but also because they are return customers because of the quality, is probably the thing that I'm most proud of and happy with the brand.
And in relation to so there's probably a tendency for people to say, look, you know, I want to start my own business and, you know, bring it on in this entrepreneur mindset, which is a really positive thing. But is there a certain sense of the reality that goes along with that? I mean, I'm assuming that from 2018 to now, it's been there's been highs, there's been lows, it's been difficult. So is it a challenging?
Definitely, it definitely is. I think that what it entails of sort of managing your own business and the roles and responsibilities just changed so much from 20 years ago to today. Like for instance, even the social media aspect of things, which this is kind of like a branch of. It's this sort of thing it's so different from what I can imagine if my follower was starting a business at my age, what you'd be doing. I definitely think that, it's one of them things where ultimately if you maybe don't think you possess the skills in order to manage the business and the day-to-day and handling staff and all this, they're all skills that are teachable and that you can learn and be informed over time. But as long as you're just sort of secure on what you want to do, and if you can handle and you're passionate about what it is you're doing, everything else you can learn, you can be taught, you can get from experience. There's always ups and downs. No greater down than years ago with COVID happening. I think like any business that started before them and is still going now, I think that's a strong enough indicator anyway that they're doing all that they can well. But definitely it comes with its hurdles anyway still.
Well, tell me this, if I said, if you knew what you know now in 2018, would you still do it?
I definitely I would 100% still do it all, and I would probably still do a lot of it the same way as we did as well too, for sure. Like one thing whenever we started off, the people were constantly remarking on was, you should do this in Belfast, you should do this in Dublin, you should do this elsewhere, because the kind of business model we were going for, being kind of like a sort of differently priced menswear brand in the town, and at the time selling different brands, it was more commonplace in like a London or a Manchester or something like that. But we were always saying nope, we're from here, and I was just so sick and tired of there being nothing here for people that maybe had similar interest to myself. So I thought if you can make the smallest impact at all from providing that, maybe it'll follow suit. And then in doing that, we sort of like slowly built our name throughout the country, from doing pop-ups in Belfast, doing a couple in Dublin, doing different sort of events, and even just from that throughout the years, and collaborating with different kind of Irish artists as well too. I think that kind of tried to solidify our place here regionally, and I think it's important to do that before you try doing too much and try to attack all these international markets and try to make a difference and saying who you are, because at the end of the day, your main bread and butter is the people that support you on a daily basis and where you're from.
Yeah.
So I'm probably giving you a long answer to a short question, but as I say, I think that how we scaled everything and done everything ultimately led us to the position we're in now, which I couldn't be happier with, for sure.
And like, there's obviously a lot of learnings along the way, and you kind of try something and you tweak it and refine it as you go along, and as you say, if you're the co-founders that you have as well, it seems like it's a good basis where if you're trying to make all the decisions on your own, you would maybe have not the other perspectives that they bring to it, and sure. So can maybe avoid making some of the mistakes. But you obviously kind of had quite a bit of success early on, but you say people were always talking to you, Belfast, Dublin, do this. How did you keep it where you were like, no, hold on, we need to do this kind of responsibly and scale it at a pace that you were comfortable with, that actually, was it difficult to kind of hold that back?
I definitely think it did feel difficult to an extent, but I think the main factor as to why we were where we were, like staying locally, was just because we look at smaller brands and they might have a flagship store in one place, and then they might then franchise and do one here and one here, and they go a bit more globally, but they're always known for where they started and what their main base was. So we always wanted that to be Derry. The first premises we were on was just a pop-up for the year, so that goal for that 12 months was do the best we can here. If what we're doing is worth doing, we'll then try to secure another premises in town, and that led us to Waterloo Street. And Waterloo Street was great days, and we absolutely loved it there. We had some great times over the years with some great neighbours, with some great footfall and amazing sort of variation of customers that came on this. It was always just so interesting to hear how people found out about us and coming in. But we thought, while this is good in here, it was starting to feel so cramped, and the premises itself was kind of thwarting our actual growth and what we wanted to do. So when the unit came up that we're on now, it was perfect because I feel like this is the ultimate sort of location we could have locally. I cannot foresee a situation that we would need to move from there. I'm just so glad of how it all looks and how it feels. And one big takeaway that I had, and I said this to the boys before we opened up that night before, when we were on there about 4 a.m, cleaning the place up.
The glamorous bits.
The fun part was, I said, before a single customer had stepped foot in it, it feels very reminiscent of somewhere from a London, from a Manchester, from a New York. Just like a nice big shop with the wooden floors and the white walls. And that's what I wanted people to feel like here. Just being able to bring something that is just so common for people from these big metropolitan cities, but to a smaller scale, but obviously doing it all in our own way. Like even down to how we have decorated the place. We've got all these different sort of things about there. There's a framed photo of Roy Keane on there as well. So I have to just make sure that we're doing it the way that we want to do it. But definitely, we wanted to make sure that we can say with certainty that we've got our base secured. And I feel like we're in that position now where we've got this essentially the forever home of the business here. From there then, we would love to definitely open up on our premises. We're in talks at the minute with some big retailers that want to stock us. So we just need to sort of go through the communications for that. But I think that would be the next natural step, because I don't want to lose sight of what we're doing too fast. It's still so fresh opening this new premises. I think it's easier to kind of open yourself up to wholesale with our stores instead of maybe going, right, see all that fuss we just had opening up a premises, let's redo that all again in a city that we might not have as much pull in, and we might have to be splitting our time between, I'm living here for a few weeks, I'm here. So I just want to feel, we've got 6 months down the road on this before we look at them kind of options then. But I'm definitely open to it because I feel like what we're doing, we're on a trajectory now where everything is all about timing as well, and you don't want to miss opportunities as well.
But it must be very difficult to keep yourselves because a lot of what you're saying there is, you lean into where you're from, you kind of instill that within the brand and kind of do that, and then you kind of keep to the core values in terms of what you're actually doing and how you go about doing it, and making sure that your own stamps on it. But then, and in terms of the scale and what you're doing, you're kind of very kind of methodical in terms of what you actually do. But it's your first time entrepreneurs, the three of you. Is it difficult to kind of go, no guys, listen, we need to stick to what we do, when there's all this, particularly social media doesn't help with that, whereas do this, grow faster. Is it hard to keep it just kind of back to what your core values, let's say?
No, for sure. Like I would say that there is elements of it for sure where we might have like a month where we have nothing posted on social media because we're doing so many things behind the scenes. Like we could be working on 2 new releases. Like for instance, we were very quiet when we were building the new premises because it was kind of like, no, you know what, I think people understand whenever we post an opening date closer to the time, and it's like, oh, that's what they've been up to. And then and during that time you're seeing like other global brands, you're seeing all these other businesses going and doing different opportunities, and you're going, God, like, it would have been nice to have been asked to do that and do this. But I definitely feel like it's just one of them ones that you have to think like you're only in the position that we're in now because of the way we've done things. And I feel like it's worked, but obviously it doesn't mean that we've got all the answers right as well too. So it's just trying to make sure that, Christmas is coming, Christmas being one of the most crazy periods ever, but it's Christmas in a new shop with new staff, and for a lot of people, the first time ever shopping with us. So I was like, we need to do everything right. We need to make sure we've got such a variation of products, of designs, of colours, of fits, just being fully aware that everybody's preferences are so different. And also we wanted like the staff to feel like confident in themselves as well too, to feel like we're not throwing them on the deep end. Like, no, come onto this premises here, it's only been us running for so many years, and we're going to put you on the busiest time of the year straight away, good luck. No, it's not like that. We wanted to be like, no, we're here every day, we do this, we do that. And I think it's just one of them ones. I just wanted to feel like we could do this first, and it's been so well received so far. Like the last week was the first release that we had done for the year out of the new premises, and it was night and day difference from how things were in the past. And it's nice people can come in and there's 2 changing rooms instead of 1 now, which is a bit better. They help mitigate the traffic. But just seeing people's reaction, I think that's the thing that never gets old with it. It's like seeing someone's reaction to how happy they are trying something on, like looking at themselves, but like, oh, this is class, I love this. Because with us, a lot of these products, it's a couple colours on a laptop screen for 3-4 months. Do you know what I mean? And then you going back, is that actually nice, or what could we do to change that? And then they're going through 3 or 4 samples. Like what I'm wearing now is the 3rd sample of something that still has to get fixed again before we bring it out at the end of January. So, you know, it's just trying to be so meticulous with it to the point of not almost being obsessive, but only because you know what is possible and what you're capable of.
And do you say, like, so obviously you've had kind of a lot of releases now, and you're probably a bit more familiar with the process, but do you still get the same sense of like excitement about each one?
Sure. Oh, big time. I think it's all based on like the season run. Like I always love winter because of the whole thing as it's Christmas and it's winter. I can start wearing what I want and I can put on all my layers and all this. And the thing about being in dairy is that's 11 months of the year. That's not just relevant to now. We were lucky to have a decent year this year, but you know, around this time of year is when I'm most excited because, for instance, the stuff we're bringing out now next week or 2 weeks, we've been working on for maybe 9 months. And it's thinking we're going through a heat wave at the start of the year and we're sampling puffer jackets and they're coming in and we're like, this feels a bit mad because I feel like I can't give an accurate depiction of how good or bad this is because of what you're dealing with outside with the weather, but just keeping resampling and you know, that's the sort of stuff I'm most happy with. You know, it's getting them in the first samples and seeing stuff you love and something that you don't like on it and then getting that fixed and knowing that you've done enough that when they finally arrive that they're going to be perfect. That's the big thing. This time of year is when I get most excited for sure because I feel like we get a bit more ambitious with what we bring out and the variation. Because when it goes into spring, summer, you are kind of stripping back what you can bring out because it's more your t-shirts, jeans, shorts. We've started doing football jerseys the last sort of year and a half and they've been great for us, but it's a bit limiting in that sense too. So definitely don't lose any of the buzz anyway in the feeling because it doesn't get old with it anyway, for sure.
So, and with all the success, it's the growth of the business and that, it's actually attracted a lot of attention from kind of some quite high profile people. So does that feel a bit surreal as well? Definitely does. It's one of them funny ones where you never know sometimes when someone places an order online, like who the person is or, if they're buying it for themselves or whatever. Sometimes you get scenarios where somebody might be buying and it's just no regular name and they might be a buyer for someone bigger, and then you see then some mad photos on Instagram. We're constantly getting tagged and things, but speaking to some sort of local, I could say, sort of people and influencers and things that have sort of helped us, and people that we genuinely support back too, because it's people that we're so supportive of in terms of like their endeavours. It's like, Paul Hughes, for instance, he was one of the first sort of, I would say, athletes that respected what we did even whenever we had half the following that we did now. He's probably I would say anyway, probably a bit contentious anyway, but definitely from the north, he's the most accomplished MMA fighter, but it was just as great things for where he's from, and he doesn't shy away from it as well, which is so good. He's definitely like a great influence for local people as well too, because he was going away and fighting in the Middle East, but never losing sight of being from Derry and training from Belfast and doing all these great things. And he would always be posting different sort of pictures and videos through training camp and some of our butts. Another friend that has as well too, Shane Todd. He seems to be an honorary member of the BT 4748 community now. Every time I see him, he's wearing a different one of our hoodies, and he's an absolute gentleman. He's come down loads of times to us, and if he was performing, he would come in and ask everyone tickets to see him and everything as well. But he's definitely a massive supporter, and I think about all these different sort of collaborations with these sort of, you could say, regional sort of influences, it's genuine. A lot of the time these people are reaching out to us if we bring out something, or they're commenting under a post. They've been like, "Oh, this is great! Congratulations!" or they're coming in, and whenever they are either buying something or if we send them out something, they love wearing it because they like it. It's not like
we never ever are people that are like texting someone, you haven't put up a post yet in that hoodie we sent you. It's not like that. If you genuinely like it, we want you to like it. We don't want anything to feel forced. Even recently, like something that was really, really nice was the actor Anthony Boyle. He was on so many great shows I was even watching the last like few years, like Masters of the Air and Say Nothing, and he was in House of Guinness recently. Basically, he has a couple of her pieces, and when I was messaging him there, he'd done an interview for GQ magazine, and he said that he wore our t-shirt to the interview, and I asked the interviewer, they include this in writing that, I want to mention I'm wearing this top from the dairy-based brand Storefront, and it was nice just even seeing that, how some people are so happy almost to be wearing something representative of where they're from as well, because it's a nice kind of 2-in-1 as well. It's like you could be wearing a top from anyone, from any brand, but it's like, no, this is where I'm from. I could be on the world stage and I'm able to represent a bit more, but like sort of my... But
it's great from that point of view, so that you're actually then instilling a sense of pride and obviously quite famous people who are from the area, so it must be great recognition that what you're doing is installing that sense of pride.
Oh, for sure. It's just it's great to see. It's just like I was saying before. It's like as long as just people genuinely like what we're doing, that's it. Like I know myself that what we were bringing out, I'm so happy about, and seeing it received so well by everybody is the most important thing. The fact that these people then are like maybe reaching out to us, or if we reach out to them or whatever, and seeing how they reciprocated as well too, it's a nice feeling, and definitely just one of them ones that makes you feel like you're doing the right things.
And so in relation to just a slight change in direction, so in terms of the actual company, and I don't know, this is probably a difficult question, but if you were to advise somebody who was in your, who'd be in your position when you were started, would you tell them to go for it? Would you be really encouraging in that aspect of it, or is it kind of you need to realise what you're getting into here?
I would say both statements been true. I would definitely say no, there is an element of thinking everything out first. We were very privileged in the sense that when we did begin, we were young, we didn't have any ties down essentially. I think the worst I had was maybe a gym membership and a phone bill they paid. That was mistakes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it didn't go pear-shaped, God forbid I couldn't train for a month. But outside of that, it all depends. I always think locally with dairy, it's like, or anybody listening at all from any part of the whole country, it's just you want people to feel like they have the forum to go and do their own thing and they pursue what they want to do. Obviously, it all comes with its own element of planning ahead and thinking, should that be you doing it yourself or you as a team of 6 people? It's pros and cons. It's research, and essentially your success will always almost be based on your preparation as well. But I always say to people when they come on the office, it's like, no matter how big or small or how ambitious or unambitious as you may feel your business idea is, just try it, because the worst that you can do is it might not go as planned, but you can say you tried it, and it's better doing that instead of living with what ifs, with all that sort of thing. And it is such a supportive place. There's such a lens and like a worldview on this place now where there's so much attention on here. I feel like it's the best time for someone, if they really want to do something, just go do it and just try their very best. There's so many more resources available now than there would have been even when we were beginning. Like different sort of grants and schemes and incentives, different brands and businesses that you can sort of mentor off. And the way we are is like, we aren't really working on the shop as much anymore on the shop floor because we were handling different elements of the brand. But if someone came in and asked me any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer them for them. And I'm not saying that I know all the answers. I probably know a lot of the wrong ones, but it's experience. I think it's better to get advice from people with experience as opposed to, I know a lot of my friends went and done degrees that involved management courses and hadn't managed anywhere in their life, and then they were applying to these managerial positions, and post-uni it was like, well, you don't have any experience, we would rather take someone that's worked in an industry. I think it's that kind of thing. Just going, and even if you're shadowing somebody that has been a milkman for 20 years, they've got real life experience, and that's what matters.
And then, so if we take it then from there, what's next? I suppose we touched on some of it. Is there anything else then in terms of the growth plan for
sure? We're definitely planning on doing a lot more collaborations next year. We've been working in talks with some bigger brands, which would be good as well, just to be able to bring more of a spotlight on us as well. And we've just even done some meetings there last week with some big sort of international European brands and everything, meeting with them, and it was nice. And we're just sort of working on that in the back burner. And then after that, we have some plans to go and visit our manufacturers and everything in as well too, and do some site visits. And we're going to as well next year just try to involve ourselves a bit more in terms of some events. We're going to do some maybe pop-ups, some within the UK, some within the States, some within smaller locations. So we will see how we get on, but we're penciling everything in now anyway, because then it means we've got sort of a starting point from everything anyway. As I say, it's just these next few weeks and months, it's just all flown in really, to be fair. The whole process of been opened in this new premises, it's just felt like a whole new chapter and everything. So now once that part of it, now I feel like we've got the reins a bit better. We're going to get back to doing a bit more kind of like social media elements as well too. We kind of took the foot off the pedal a bit with the ads and everything for the last while, but I think I didn't want to be putting too much in people's faces in the town. They've been like, oh, them ones again. So you just go on just to go and check the news for 2 minutes on your phone. So definitely a lot of more international growth next year as a plan, and we're going to just try to solidify that. As I say, we've got some events that we're just trying to get all the bits secured now on it, and once that's done, then we're good to go.
Excellent. And just finally, so are you optimistic for the future, both in terms of the brand? So obviously you've covered some of that, but more so I suppose for the region, for where we're from. So
definitely 100%. I think it's the most optimistic you can ever feel. Being from here, obviously I was born in 1998, so I can't speak of what life was like prior to that, but obviously it's all the talk of how sort of the region's been post Good Friday and everything else. I feel like now we're at a stage where there's so many younger people that have grown up after the aftermath of everything, and now there's better resources to them available to go and do what they want to do. And even if it's people, there's a lot of people moving away, but there's a lot of people moving back then as well too now, and bringing what they've learnt abroad back to the community, which is great. I think it's trying to create more of a big city feel and somewhere that always feels like a small town. And I feel like there's just enough people doing that here at the minute, which is great. Like down to the amazing restaurants we have, the coffee shops, the retail experience improving, like going on the foil side now versus a couple of months ago, different place. It's great to see, just even comparatively a couple of years ago. It's just such a breath of fresh air, just seeing how better the place is looking, and so feeling like tourists can come here and have something to see. We've got some amazing hotels and everything now as well too, and it's great. And it's great because people here feel like they've got a chance and they can do what they want to do. But I think just for young people, it's such a great thing because if you can see even people like us and people that are going and doing all these new like sort of online businesses as well, like all you can do is go and I know that person, how hard is it, I can give it a go as well too. I went to school with them, give it a go, and literally, as I say, just if you give 110%, that's all you can do.
Listen, I really appreciate your time, Conor.
Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it. Cheers.